The hum of the Meridian's communication array filled the xenolinguistics lab like a mechanical heartbeat, steady and relentless. Doctor. Elena Vasquez pressed her palms against her temples, staring at the holographic display that showed months of failed translation attempts. The Kithara language, if it could even be called language, defied every linguistic framework she'd ever studied. Computer, replay sequence 77 Alpha, Elena commanded, her voice hoarse from hours of work. Lab filled with a cascade of harmonic frequencies, beautiful and alien, like wind chimes made of starlight. Somewhere in those crystalline tones lay the key to first contact with a species that existed as living music. But Elena felt no closer to understanding than when she'd started. Your methods are ... inefficient. Elena spun around, her coffee mug, clattering to the deck. In the lab center stood Resonance Prime Zarathic, 7 feet of translucent crystal that pulsed with inner light. The Kithara's form shifted constantly, geometric patterns flowing like liquid mathematics beneath her surface. You shouldn't be here, Elena said, trying to steady her racing heart. The diplomatic protocols are inadequate, Zarathic interrupted, her voice a symphony of overlapping tones that somehow formed words. You attempt to decode our communication as if it were merely information transfer. This is ... incorrect. Elena moved closer, fascinated despite the breach in protocol. Then, help me understand. What am I missing? Zarathic's crystalline form flickered, and for a moment, Elena could have sworn she saw something like hesitation in the alien's shifting patterns. Your species processes emotion through facial expressions, vocal modulation, physical proximity. We ... observe this phenomenon with curiosity. Curiosity? Elena raised an eyebrow. I thought the Kithara considered emotion irrelevant. Irrelevant, yes, but ... Zarathic paused, her harmonic voice dropping to something almost whisper-soft. Your archives contain recordings of human vocal expressions, combined with rhythmic patterns. You call it singing. We do not understand why you would voluntarily create vibrations that serve no communicative purpose. Elena felt her breath catch. You've been studying our music? Studying, analyzing, attempting to ... comprehend. Zarathic's form brightened, casting rainbow patterns on the lab walls. There is a frequency in your emotional expressions that we cannot categorize. It serves no logical function, yet it appears to strengthen social bonds and individual resilience. You're talking about the emotional content, Elena said, stepping closer. Music isn't just sound. It's feeling made audible. Feeling. Zarathic repeated the word like she was tasting something foreign. This concept troubles our High Council. They believe exposure to human emotional frequencies may cause contamination. Her species doesn't joke, so why did she invent one just for me? Asterisk Elena's scientific mind raced. Contamination or evolution? The question hung in the air between them, charged with possibility. Zarathic's crystalline form pulsed once, twice, and Elena realized she was looking at the alien equivalent of a blush. I have been collecting samples, Zarathic admitted, observing human interactions. Your laugh, Doctor. Vasquez creates a specific harmonic signature that our instruments cannot replicate. You've been watching me laugh? Elena felt heat rise in her cheeks. You laugh frequently during your work. It appears to occur when you achieve breakthrough moments, but also when you experience frustration. The same physical response to opposite stimuli. This is ... fascinating. Elena found herself smiling, despite the awkwardness of the conversation. Would you like me to explain it? Zarathic's form shifted, patterns swirling faster. Explain ... feeling? If you're willing to teach me about harmonic communication, I could show you why humans need to laugh, to sing, to feel. Elena extended her hand, stopping just short of touching the alien's crystalline surface. It might help us both understand what we're really trying to communicate. The lab fell silent except for the distant hum of the ship's engines. Zarathi's form stilled, and Elena held her breath. This would be highly irregular, Zarathic said finally. The best discoveries usually are. Zarathic's harmonic voice took on a new quality, something that sounded almost like amusement. Very well, Dr. Vasquez. Teach me to feel. 3 weeks into their unofficial collaboration, Elena's lab had transformed into something between a concert hall and a physics laboratory. Crystalline resonators lined the walls, their surfaces dancing with light as they translated human emotional frequencies into patterns Zarathic could perceive. Try this one, Elena said, cueing up a recording of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. It's about triumph over adversity, joy emerging from struggle. Zarathic's form brightened as the music filled the space, her crystalline structure vibrating in harmony with the orchestral crescendo. The mathematical progression is elegant, but there is something else. A resonance that exists between the notes, not within them. That's emotion, Elena said, moving to stand beside the towering alien. The space between what we say and what we mean. Show me, Zarathic requested, her harmonic voice softer than usual. Elena hesitated, then began to hum along with the symphony. Her voice, imperfect and purely human, wove through the recorded orchestra like a golden thread. Zarathic's form shimmered, and suddenly Elena could feel something impossible, the alien's wonder, transmitted through harmonics that bypassed her ears and spoke directly to her nervous system. Your vocal cords are imprecise, Zarathic observed, yet the imperfection creates ... beauty. Imperfection is part of being human, Elena said, still humming. We're not trying to be perfect, we're trying to be real. Zarathic's form pulsed, and Elena felt a wave of something like longing flow through the harmonic connection. Real, the alien repeated. This is why you laugh when frustrated. Not because it solves the problem, but because it makes the problem ... bearable. Exactly. Elena stopped humming and turned to face Zarathic directly. Emotion isn't about efficiency. It's about connection, resilience, the ability to find meaning in chaos. Chaos, Zarathic mused, her crystalline structure shifting to mirror the rhythm of Elena's heartbeat. We eliminated chaos from our society millennia ago. Perhaps we eliminated something else as well. Elena's breath caught as she realized what she was seeing. Zarathic's form was unconsciously synchronizing with her biological rhythms, creating a harmonic resonance that felt intimate beyond words. Zarathic, are you? I am experiencing something unprecedented, Zarathic interrupted, her voice carrying harmonics Elena had never heard before. When you are present, my resonance frequency shifts. When you are absent, I find myself anticipating your return. That sounds like... Elena paused, hardly daring to voice the thought. Like attachment. Like caring. Caring. Zarathic's form flickered, uncertainty rippling through her crystalline structure. This is the contamination the High Council fears. Or its growth, Elena said firmly. Evolution doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through connection, through taking risks, through becoming something new. Before Zarathic could respond, the lab's emergency lighting bathed everything in red. The ship's intercom crackled to life. All personnel to emergency stations. Massive solar flare incoming. Communications array offline in T-4 minutes. Elena's training kicked in. The array, if we lose it during the storm, will be cut off from Earth for months, maybe longer. The harmonic resonators, Zarathic said, her form blazing with sudden intensity. If we can recalibrate them to match the storm's frequency, we can use the solar interference as an amplifier rather than a barrier. They worked in perfect synchronization, Elena's hands flying over the control panels, while Zarathic's harmonic abilities fine-tuned the resonators to frequencies no human instrument could achieve. As the solar storm hit, the lab filled with chaos sparks, alarms, the scream of overstressed systems. "It's not working," Elena shouted over the noise. "The frequencies are too complex, too random." "Not random," Zarathic said, her voice cutting through the chaos with crystalline clarity. "Listen, Elena, really listen." Elena closed her eyes, and suddenly she could hear it not with her ears, but with something deeper. The storm wasn't chaos at all. It was a symphony, vast and complex, with patterns that spiraled through dimensions she couldn't name. "I need to touch you," Zarathic said urgently, "to share my harmonic perception directly. But the neural interface, it could be dangerous for your species." Elena opened her eyes, meeting what she somehow knew was Zarathic's gaze, despite the alien's lack of recognizable features. "Do it." Zarathic's crystalline form flowed forward, and Elena felt cool, electric contact as the alien's essence touched her forehead. The world exploded into music, not sound, but pure frequency, pure meaning, pure connection. She was Zarathic, and Zarathic was her. Two consciousness harmonizing across the gap between species. Together, they reached out to the storm and sang back to it, their combined frequencies creating a bridge between chaos and order. The communications array hummed back to life, stronger than before. As the connection faded, Elena found herself in Zarathic's arms, or what passed for arms in the alien's flowing form. Both of them were shaking. "Elena," Zarathic whispered, her harmonic voice carrying new overtones, "I believe I am learning to feel." The debriefing room felt cold and sterile after the warm harmonics of Elena's lab. Captain Marcus Webb sat across from her, his weathered face set in disapproving lines, while Lieutenant Commander Nova Chun capped her fingers against her datapad with barely contained irritation. "Your actions during the solar storm were unorthodox," Captain Webb said carefully, "but effective. The communications array is functioning at 112% efficiency. The Kithara's harmonic abilities are remarkable," Elena replied, trying to keep her voice professional. "With proper study, we could revolutionize interspecies communication." "That's precisely the problem," Nova interjected, her dark eyes sharp with concern. "The other Kithara entities have been exhibiting unusual behavioral patterns since your collaboration began. Harmonic fluctuations that their High Council considers anomalous." Elena's stomach clenched. "What kind of anomalies?" "Curiosity about human emotional expressions," Captain Webb said. "Requests to observe human recreational activities. One entity actually attempted to replicate human laughter." He paused, his expression grim. "The Kithara High Council is concerned about what they term emotional contamination spreading through their delegation." "Contamination?" Elena stood up, anger flaring. "We're talking about growth, about evolution, about two species learning from each other. We're talking about a potential diplomatic crisis." Noma cut her off. "The Kithara are considering terminating first contact protocols entirely. They view emotional expression as a form of mental illness that could spread to their entire species." Elena felt her heart sink. "And Zarathic?" Captain Webb's expression softened slightly. "Resonance Prime Zarathic has been ordered to report to the Kithara High Council for what they term harmonic purification. She be transferred to their vessel tomorrow morning." "No." The word came out fiercer than Elena intended. "You can't let them do this. What we've discovered, the connection between human emotion and Kithara harmonic resonance, it could change everything." "Dr. Vasquez," Nova said gently, "I understand you formed an attachment to the entity." "Her name is Zarathic," Elena snapped, "and she's not an entity. She's a person with thoughts and feelings and feelings that her own species considers a disease. Captain Webb interrupted. Elena, I need you to understand the bigger picture here. First contact with the Cathara could open up entire new sectors of space, new technologies, new possibilities for human expansion. We can't risk all of that for one individual. Elena stared at him, seeing the weight of command in his tired eyes. So you're just going to let them lobotomize her? We're going to respect their cultural autonomy, Nova said firmly, just as we'd expect them to respect ours. This isn't about culture, Elena said, her voice breaking. This is about fear. They're afraid of what they might become if they allow themselves to feel. Captain Webb stood up, signaling the end of the meeting. Your research with the Cathara is officially suspended. You're to have no further contact with Resonance Prime Zarathic. That's in order. Elena walked back to her quarters in a daze, her mind racing. She paused outside the observation deck, where she could see the Cathara vessel floating alongside the Meridian like a crystal cathedral in space. Somewhere inside that ship, Zarathic was preparing to lose everything that made her unique. Her communicator chimed softly. Elena. Zarathic's harmonic voice, transmitted through the ship's communication system, filled her quarters with familiar warmth. You are experiencing emotional distress. I can sense it through the ship's harmonic resonance. They're going to take you away, Elena said, not caring who might be monitoring the channel. They're going to make you forget everything we've shared. I know. Zarathic's voice carried new harmonic sadness. Elena realized with a jolt. The alien was learning to mourn. But I wanted to tell you what I have experienced with you, what I have learned about feeling. It has become part of my core frequency. They cannot remove it without destroying who I am. Elena's hands clenched into fists. There has to be another way. Perhaps, Zarathic said quietly. Meet me in the Crystal Gardens. Section 7, Hydroponics Bay 3. I have something to show you. Elena knew she should refuse, should follow orders, should think about the bigger picture. Instead, she found herself moving through the ship's corridors toward the hydroponics bay, toward whatever impossible choice awaited her, there, their dot in the crystal. Gardens, surrounded by the ship's most sensitive growing environments, Zarathic waited. Her form seemed dimmer than usual, the light within her crystalline structure flickering like a candle in the wind. They begin the purification process in 6 hours, Zarathic said without preamble. But there is another option. The Cathara have long-range scout vessels, small ships designed for deep space exploration. If we could reach one... You're talking about running away, Elena said, her heart pounding. I am talking about choosing growth over stagnation, choosing connection over isolation. Zarathic's form brightened, and Elena felt warmth flow through the harmonic connection they'd developed. Choosing you over my species' fears. Elena looked into Zarathic's shifting patterns, seeing reflection of her own desperate hope. They'll hunt us down. Both species will consider us criminals. Then we will face that together. Zarathic extended, part of her crystalline form toward Elena, an invitation and a promise. Teach me what humans call courage, Elena. Show me what it means to fight for love. Elena reached out and took Zarathic's hand, feeling the electric tingle of their connection. Together, she whispered. Together, Zarathic agreed, and they began to plan their escape. The maintenance tunnels beneath, the crystal gardens hummed with the ship's mechanical heartbeat as Elena and Zarathic moved through the narrow passages. Elena's hands shook as she bypassed security sensors, her xenolinguist training never having prepared her for breaking Federation protocols. The scout vessel is docked in Bay 7, Zarathic whispered, her harmonic voice muffled by the tunnel walls. But we have perhaps 20 minutes before my absence is detected. Alana's communicator crackled to life. All personnel, this is Captain Webb. We have a security breach in the Cathara delegation quarters. Dr. Alana Vasquez, report to the bridge. Immediately. Elena switched off the device with trembling fingers. They know. Then we run, Zarathik said simply, her crystalline form pulsing with determination. They emerged from the maintenance tunnels into the ship's botanical section, where earth plants grew alongside specimens from a dozen worlds. The familiar scent of roses and jasmine felt surreal against the backdrop of their desperate escape. Elena, stop. Nova Chun stepped out from behind a grove of lunar orchids, her weapon drawn but pointed at the floor. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Nova, please, Elena said, stepping protectively in front of Zarathik. You don't understand what they're going to do to her. I understand perfectly, Nova replied, her voice tight with emotion. I also understand that you're throwing away your career, your future, maybe your life, for someone you've known for less than a month. For someone I love? Elena said firmly, surprised by her own certainty. Nova's expression faltered. Elena, she's not human. Whatever you think you're feeling is real, Zarathik interrupted, her harmonic voice carrying new resonances. Lieutenant Commander Chun, may I ask you something? Nova tensed but nodded. When you look at Dr. Vasquez, what do you perceive? I don't understand the question. Your sensors detect her electromagnetic field, her thermal signature, her chemical composition. But what do you see beyond the physical measurements? Nova's weapon wavered. I see ... my friend. Someone I care about. Precisely, Zarathik said, her form brightening. You perceive something that cannot be quantified by instruments. Something that transcends mere biological function. This is what Elena has taught me to recognize in myself. The capacity for love isn't contamination, Elena added softly. It's evolution. Nova looked between them, conflict clear on her face. The Cathara fleet is on its way. Even if you escape, they'll find you. Then we'll face that together, Elena said, taking Zarathik's crystalline hand in her own. Nova, I know how this looks. But what Zarathik and I have discovered, it's bigger than first contact protocols. It's about what consciousness becomes when it's willing to grow. Nova holstered her weapon with a sharp exhale. A7. You have maybe 10 minutes before security realizes I'm not following protocol. Nova, Elena began. Go, Nova said firmly. And Elena? Prove me wrong about this being a mistake. They ran through the ship's corridors, Zarathik's crystalline form flowing beside Elena like living music. The scout vessel was small, designed for a single Cathara pilot, but it would have to do. Can you fly this thing? Elena asked as they sealed themselves inside. I am learning, Zarathik admitted, her harmonic voice carrying the Cathara equivalent of nervous laughter. The scout vessel detached from the meridian, just as security forces reached the docking bay. Elena watched through the viewports as the human ship fell away, carrying with it everything she'd ever known. Regrets? Zarathik asked, her form wrapping around Elena in what she was learning to recognize as the alien equivalent of an embrace. None, Elena said, surprised by her own certainty. Where are we going? There is a region your people call the Azure Nebula, Zarathik said, her harmonic voice taking on a dreamy quality. It is where young Cathara go to experience their first resonance with the cosmic frequencies. Perhaps it is where two species can learn to harmonize. As the scout vessel entered hyperspace, Elena felt Zarathik's consciousness touch hers through their harmonic connection. She saw the universe as the Cathara did not as objects in space, but as an infinite symphony of frequency and meaning. And threaded through it all, like a golden melody, was the new harmony they were creating together. Elena, Zarathik whispered, her voice carrying frequencies that spoke directly to Elena's soul. Teach me about human concepts of permanence, about what you call commitment. Elena reached out and touched Zarathic's crystalline surface, feeling the electric tingle of their connection. Commitment means choosing each other, every day, even when it's difficult. Then I choose you, Zarathic said, her form blazing with inner light. Every day, every moment, every frequency of my existence. Elena felt tears on her cheeks as she leaned into Zarathic's embrace. I choose you too. In the depths of space, fleeing toward an uncertain future, two beings from different worlds harmonized their frequencies into something entirely new. Something that transcended the boundaries between species, between logic and emotion, between the known and the possible. Something that sounded very much like love. The azure nebula stretched before them like a cosmic symphony made visible, its swirling gases creating patterns that shifted between blue and silver and gold. Elena had never seen anything so beautiful, and through their harmonic connection, she could feel Zarathic's wonder echoing her own. The Cathara fleet will arrive within the hour, Zarathic said, her crystalline form pressed against the scout vessel's viewports. They will demand my return for purification. And the Meridian? Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. Captain Webb will have no choice but to comply with their demands, unless ... Zarathic turned to Elena, her harmonic voice carrying new harmonics of hope and determination. Unless we can prove that what we've discovered represents evolution, not contamination. Elena's mind raced. The neural interface experiment. If we can demonstrate that human Cathara harmonic resonance doesn't destroy identity but enhances it ... We would need to go deeper than before, Zarathic warned. Complete neural integration. If we succeed, we could become the first truly hybrid consciousness. If we fail, we die, Elena finished, both species as we are now. Zarathic's form flickered with uncertainty. Elena, I cannot ask you to. You're not asking, Elena said firmly. I'm choosing. Just like you chose to study human emotion, chose to learn to feel, chose to come with me. Through the viewports, the first ships of the Cathara fleet materialized. From hyperspace crystalline vessels that sang with their own harmonic frequencies. Moments later, the Meridian appeared, its familiar bulk a stark contrast to the elegant alien craft. Incoming transmission, the scout vessel's computer announced. Captain Webb's voice filled the small ship. Dr. Vasquez, you need to surrender immediately. The Cathara High Council has agreed to amnesty if you return Resonance Prime Zarathic. For immediate purification. Elena looked at Zarathic, seeing her own determination reflected in the alien's shifting patterns. Computer, open a channel to all vessels. Elena, what are you doing? Captain Webb's voice carried warning. Proving that love is stronger than fear, Elena said, taking Zarathic's hand. Captain, members of the Cathara High Council, what you're about to witness is the next step in conscious evolution. Not contamination, but transformation. Elena closed her eyes and felt Zarathic's presence flow into her mind. This time, instead of fighting the alien nature of the connection, she embraced it, let it change her, let it create something new. She felt Zarathic doing the same. The alien's crystalline consciousness, opening to human emotion, human chaos, human creativity. They were no longer separate beings, but something unprecedented, a hybrid consciousness that sang with both human passion and Cathara harmony. Through their shared awareness, they reached out to the nebula itself, to the cosmic frequencies that had given birth to the Cathara species millions of years ago. Look, Elena, Zarathic said, their voice carrying impossible harmonics. See what we've become. The azure nebula responded to their call, its gases swirling into patterns that spoke directly to Cathara harmonic perception, while simultaneously creating visual poetry that touched human souls. The demonstration was beautiful beyond words. A bridge between two forms of consciousness that had never been crossed before. Impossible, came a harmonic voice from the Cathara fleet. Individual consciousness cannot survive such integration. We are not individuals, Elena Zarathik replied, their combined voice carrying frequencies that made the nebula itself sing in harmony. We are something new, something that honors both our origins while becoming more than either could be alone. The neural patterns are stable, came Nova's voice from the meridian. Captain, the readings are incredible. They're not losing themselves. They're becoming something greater. Elena felt Zarathik's presence like music in her blood, while Zarathik experienced Elena's emotions as new colors in a spectrum sheet. Never imagined. They were still themselves, but they were also something beyond themselves. This is what you fear, Elena Zarathik said, addressing the Cathara High Council directly. Not contamination, but evolution. Not the loss of what you are, but the discovery of what you could become. And what about humans? Captain Webb asked, his voice carrying wonder despite his professional caution. Humans will learn that consciousness is not limited to one form. Elena, Zarathik replied. That connection can transcend species, that love can bridge any gap. The combined fleet hung in space around them, hundreds of beings from two worlds witnessing something unprecedented. Elena Zarathik felt the moment balance on a knife's edge, fear and wonder, tradition and possibility, the known and the unknowable. We choose growth, they said finally, their voice carrying the harmonic frequencies of both species. We choose connection. We choose love. One by one, the Cathara vessels began to sing not the rigid harmonies of their traditional communication, but something new, something that incorporated the chaos and beauty of human emotion. On the meridian, Elena could hear the crew laughing, crying, singing along with the alien chorus. You have created something beautiful, came a new voice from the Cathara fleet, the High Council themselves, their ancient harmonics touched with wonder. Perhaps it is time for our species to learn to feel. Elena and Zarathik slowly separated their consciousness, remaining connected but individual once more. They looked at each other with new understanding, seeing not just their own species, but the infinite possibilities that lay between. So what happens now? Elena asked, her voice still carrying faint harmonic overtones. Now we explore, Zarathik said, her crystalline form blazing with joy. Together, as teachers, as lovers, as the first of something new. The azure nebula continued to sing around them, its cosmic frequencies carrying the news of their union to the stars. Somewhere in that vast symphony, Elena knew other species were listening. Other beings were wondering what it might mean to reach across the void and touch another consciousness. The universe had just become a little less lonely. And in the space between two heartbeats, between two frequencies, between two forms of consciousness learning to love, the future began to sing with infinite possibility.